up, you beautiful people? So today I figured I am going to show you how to set up a minimal installation of either Ubuntu or Debian. Now here's one thing, this guide should work mostly on Debian because I'll be using Debian for this. Reason why I'm not using Ubuntu is one, it's totally snapped together. If you know what I mean by this, it's that literally every single package in Linux, a package you can think of like an app, and each app is in a container called snap, and the more snaps you have, the slower the OS is, and also it takes up a lot more disk space. So we won't be using Ubuntu just for that reason. It's becoming a lot more, I would say, bloated, so it's not ideal as a beginning distro. By that I mean, you should really consider using something else. So what I'm going to show you today is how to set up a minimal installation, and for that we'll be using Debian. So what you need to do, go to the link in the description below, which is for www.debian.org, and what you want to do is you want to go to getting Debian, and you'll be at this page. And one thing I would recommend you to get is you have these installation images, and if you want to make a truly minimalistic installation of Debian, I would recommend that you pick the netinstall. Now you can either pick the 32-bit or the 64-bit netinstall, or if you want full images of Debian already pre-installed with everything, you can just go with these over here. Now my distribution, my version of Debian, that's what I meant to say, is built using the netinstall, so we'll be using that because that's one that I have the most experience with. So once you click the netinstall thing here, you should start downloading. It's a relatively small image. Now I have it already downloaded, so I'm not gonna download it, but it's like only a few megs in size. So what we can do, we can go into my downloads folder. So the Debian netinstall comes in around 351 megs, which is enough. It's definitely bigger than the Ubuntu Mini ISO I showed you previously, but this is better as a base because it is more stable, and it also has much better support, and it's also one of the oldest distributions, so you should definitely use this. The netinstall, we could use one of the pre-built images and just get rid of stuff, but that's just a bit too long, and this really doesn't take that long to install. So I'm going to pick the Debian AMD64 netinstall because my computer is 64-bit, and if your computer is 32-bit, just pick the 32-bit installation, which you can find over here, the i386 netinstall ISO. One other important thing to note is you will need to get VirtualBox. So you go to virtualbox.org, and the reason why I'm getting VirtualBox is that it's a ideal place to start practicing. You can get VirtualBox for Windows, macOS, or Linux, or even Solaris. Since I'm using Linux, I'm going to go with Linux. Now I have it installed already, so I'm not going to download anything, but if you are using Windows, which most of you probably are, you would go into Windows hosts and it will start only the exe that you need, so you just install it and that's it. Under Linux, it's not that simple. Go to Linux distributions and you have to pick the one that's for you. Now since I'm using Debian 10 Buster, I'm going to pick this one. I don't have to because I already installed it, but what you would need to do is just go into your downloads folder. Now my downloads is on my secondary hard drive, so I have to go down and downloads, and you would do sudo or sudo d package -e virtualbox. I don't have it in here, I believe. I don't have it downloaded, but you get it. You can type in the. Let me just download it to show you how to download it. It's going to take a minute. But basically what you would do, you would type in the name of the package and install it, and it will ask you for your password, and that's pretty much all you would need in order to get it installed. Now if you get an error about virtualization, that you cannot run a virtual machine, just go into your BIOS and enable virtualization technology either for Intel or AMD. For Intel it's I believe Intel-VT, and for AMD it's I believe AMD-V or VX, something like that. I have it enabled. I don't really I didn't disable it since my computer came in, like the motherboard and stuff, so I have it enabled from the day I got my computer. Just make sure you have virtualization enabled so you can actually use VirtualBox. Again, I'm just going to demonstrate how you would install it. I'm not gonna run the command, it's just for demonstration purposes. Also, this video might be a bit longer than any other video, but that's only because I want to show you guys how you can set it up for yourself, so that so that you can pretty much practice this at home. Now, the reason why I recommend you guys to begin with either Debian or Ubuntu is that, one, these are the two most known distributions of Linux and the most used ones. So most guides and help tutorials on forums or on other websites are built around Ubuntu or Debian most of the time. If you were using something like Medieval Linux or Mandrake or even Gentoo or Void Linux, you would have to look into forums how to get software installed. One really neat thing is that if you learn one of those two, you can pretty much migrate to the other, which was the case in my like for me, because I started on Ubuntu back when it was released at I believe 16.04 or even 14.04, and I wasn't using it full time, but I was like dual booting on my laptop, which wasn't ideal, but it was a method, and I was using that essentially. And another thing to remember is that if you're trying to use Linux, do it first on a virtual machine, see what you can do, play around with it, hence why this video even exists. So anyway, onto installing VirtualBox. So you just type in VIRT and then press tab and it will auto-complete, and you would then run the command. I don't have to, it's already installed. If it complains about some packages, just look it up how to install those packages. I'm not gonna show you how to do that. Just install the packages that you need and you should be okay. So once you install the VirtualBox, we can continue on. So we now have our ISO image and our VirtualBox installed. So what you wanna do is you wanna wallpapers. Okay, that's cool. You wanna go to VirtualBox itself. Now, let me just launch VirtualBox again. So VirtualBox is under System Tools, under Mate, and there's VirtualBox. It takes a little while to launch, so just be patient, and there it is. Let me scale it up fully, so you guys can see everything. And this is VirtualBox. So, now this is under Linux. Under Windows, it's much easier to install, so you guys probably have it already installed. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a virtual machine. Now, to do that, you click this add button right here. Click that, and you you click this new button. You click this new button right here, and it pops up with this. Now, one really neat thing, what VirtualBox does is if you start typing the name of the distribution, if I could type that is. See, I just typed in Debian and it picked everything, but to show you from the base, so I'm going to cancel this, click new. So this is what you would get most likely. So first going to type and pick Linux, next go over here, and you should see, now depending on which one you have, you want to use either 32-bit or 64-bit Debian, because we're using Debian, we'll be using that. If you guys are using Ubuntu, just look over here and pick the one for you. This is mainly for getting a minimal installation going, so we're using Debian. So I'm using the 64-bit, which is the AMD 64 at the end of the image, or if you have the i386 image, you have to get the 32-bit one. So I'm going to pick the 64-bit, which I have. I have my virtual machine folder on my secondary hard drive, so don't worry about that. Since this is going to be minimal installation with the GUI and stuff, we do not need it much RAM. We can in fact pull it down to go, 112 max. We're going to create a virtual hard disk, but first let's give it a name. So we're going to I'm going to name it minimal install tutorial, because I'm showing you guys how to get a minimal installation going. And again, set this back to 512, and we should be set. Reason why we're picking 512 is to show that you can literally run Linux on literally anything, and this will have a GUI with some applications installed and a usable interface. So I'm going to click create right here, and oh no, you do not have permissions. Oh, it's the wrong hard drive. Whoops. Just realized that. So it uses my old hard drive. So just pick where you have your VMs installed and fix it up. I just had to fix it up real quick. So now we click create. Okay, it lets us. So once we click create, you should see this menu. Now, our minimal installation, I think 8 gigs should be enough. So just give it 8. We're going to keep it dynamically allocated. We're not gonna keep fixed size because it will take really long to create, and we're going to keep the VDI for the virtual box disk image, because we do not need to play around with this. The QEMU stuff, the QEMU stuff, or how you wanna call it, it's another method of virtualizing. We're not gonna go into that. We're just going to set this up as simple as we can. So just change the size, leave everything as it is, and click create. Now the reason why this menu showed up is I haven't had the guided mode enabled, so this is what you would see if you were going for it. If you want to get the exact menu I got, just go into expert mode right here, and that's what you would get. Just saying. So yeah. So next we're going to go into settings. Now this will highly depend on your system. But I'm going to move the optical first and move the hard drive first. Actually move the hard drive first because it makes it much easier to install everything. Next go to CPUs and give it 2 cores if you can. I'm going to give it 2 because it makes it much faster. We're going to keep the nesting paging and stuff. We're not gonna boot from a floppy, so just disable that. That's okay. Next into video memory, bump this up because it will really help out with everything. So bump this up to 128 megs. It will use 128 megs of your memory more, so just don't worry. So here is our optical drive. So what you want to do is you want to go into storage, go to here the empty part, and you see this disk thing right here. You click it and it says choose a disk file. So you're going to click choose a disk file and go to your downloads folder. And as you can see, it picked it automatically, which is the Debian 10.3.0 AMD64 netinstall. Again, if you have a 32-bit one, it would say i386 over here. But this is what we want, so we double click it or just click open as it showed up there. Again, let me just show you. You will just click the open here and that's it. It's selected already and it will be put over here. In terms of network, I will recommend you keep it at NAT. You could pick bridged, but it has some problems, so just keep the NAT one. This will make our lives even simpler. In terms of serial ports, don't have to worry about that, and everything can be as it is. I'm just going to look into here if here's something. It doesn't appear to be, so again, just checking once more. Base memory 512 megs, CPU 2 cores, 100% of our CPU acceleration has been kept as it is. Displays, just bump this up to 128 megs. Storage here, go pick this thing, the control IDE for the CD, and you want to just pick the SO. After all of that is done, you click OK, and we should be ready. Now one thing you might have noticed is that our settings have changed. So now we have 2 cores as we said before, 128 megs of memory, and our optical drive has the netinstall SO. So with that, we can finally start it up. Now, if you get an error already about not being able to run a virtual machine, just don't worry about that. Now since we're going for a really minimal installation, we're going to pick not the graphical install because that's too heavy. We're going to pick the install option. So we're going to just have the install option right here. So take the second one. So we're going to pick the install option. And it's loading. And it says entering low memory mode. Now if this shows up, because we've picked such a low amount, just pick enter to activate the button. So next we're going to pick our location. Now since I'm in Europe, I'm going to pick Europe. And I'm going to pick Czechia because that's where I am. Key map I'll keep in English because why not, it's simpler for me. Now it's going to retrieve some packages. And it seems like we're going long, which is perfect. Alright, it's setting up our network. Just let it do its thing, it's normal. Now the reason why we picked this one is that it makes the installation process much faster. So now we're going to configure our network. Now, since this is a minimal installation tutorial, you can keep the host name as Debian. For simplicity's sake, I'm gonna keep it as Debian. Domain name, you don't have to fill this out if you don't have one. Just keep it blank for most of the time. You do not need to set up anything. Now the root password is something we have to set up. One thing I would recommend if you're starting to use Linux, set the root password as the same as we have over here. Since it's a test machine, we're going to call the root password test. Again, you can check by pressing tab and then space. As you can see, it says test. Press space and again type in TEST. Just check, it says test. Continue. Now the full username will be test, obviously. Username for account test, that's okay. And now password TEST. Again, that's for simplicity's sake, and take the same thing in again. TEST. Now click continue. It's going to set it up, and that's our user created. So we've now created our regular user and a root user. Both of them have the same password for simplicity's sake, and it's much better to have it set up this way, because if in any case your OS crashes and you need to recover from it, you would need to have that root password. So it's much better to have the password set the same if you are expecting to be recovering and know you will forget your password. Just use the same you use for your user and you're pretty much set. Now about this, so partitioning our disks is something that we can either do it manually, but I'm not gonna show that to you. We could use the entire disk and set up the encrypted LVM, which basically encrypts our drive. Now we are not going to use LVM, excuse me, because I had problems with this before, and it's much simpler to just use the basic entire disk guided partitioning. So we're going to pick the first one. So guided, use entire disk. Once you click that, it will show up with a drive. Now, if you're using VirtualBox, it's going to show you the VBox, ADA, hard disk. I gave it 8 gigs, so it shows up as 8.6, and it says SDA, which is okay. I'm going to go into the labeling and stuff like that. So I'm going to click that, and as you can see, it says selected partitioning. It lists out our drive again. So as you can see, now my mouse is disappearing, which is kind of a bummer. But you can see over there that it says the SCSI 3000 SDA dash ATA VBox hard disk 8.6 gigs, which is the one we've selected. And we're going to make this much simpler instead of having to deal with all of this. We're going to pick the all files in one partition, which is recommended. I used the same thing because I didn't want to deal with this. And it seems like we're ready to rock. So to explain what everything this is. So simply put, the primary one is where all our files and applications are going to be installed. And the logical one, the swap partition, which you can see over there, is basically something like extended memory. Now I would recommend that you keep on the swap as it is. For the purposes of this video, we're going to keep it as it is. We could set up software RAID from here, but we're not going to do that. We're going to just keep these two over here to make it more simpler for ourselves. So we're going to go finish partitioning and write changes to disk. As you can see, it's going to ask us again. Simply put, it's the thing we've said before, just say yes to make the changes. So now it's going to install the system, and all we have to do now is wait. Now the base system itself is like really minimal. It has like only the basic utilities. Well, right now it doesn't, but it will have. So we're going to wait for a little while until it installs everything. So yeah. The reason I'm showing you guys how to install this is there's a lot more people moving to Linux, and there are some that want a really basic installation of it with just the basic tools. If you're starting on Linux, I would recommend to pick a full-blown distribution, but this is just a basic installation, just a full basic installation procedure with the most basic things you will need. So pretty much what we're doing right now is installing the basic system, or the base system as it says over there. It takes a little while to install everything, so just be patient. It will take up very little space, so some of you might know Windows by itself takes around, I believe, 25 gigs, and it has all that loaded stuff in it. But after you get rid of everything, it requires like what was it? 13 gigs of space just to be able to use Windows by itself with all the bloat removed. This isn't really good, considering that my main workstation has only a 30 gig SSD, and I'm using Linux, and I still have quite a bit of space left. So that's one of the advantages of going with a minimal installation. I'm going to show you how to set up a truly minimal one on this, because that's how I started with experimenting with Linux. I just turned on a virtual machine and started toying around with different distributions and just trying to learn how to use those before I moved. So essentially, at one point in life, I just went into I turned on my laptop, which was running Windows, I believe 8 back then, and I got it. I turned on a virtual machine and just started installing a bunch of distributions onto my laptop and like into the virtual machine itself. I just went with everything, just tried using everything. Until at one point I was like, okay, I know how to use Linux, how to install applications. And the only way I was able to learn about Linux was from one of our teachers back at high school, where he basically told us what Linux was. That was actually my first interaction with Linux itself, which was really cool. And one of the main advantages I got was I started using Linux the first day we learned about it. I was like, that's really cool. So I started using that. This was like 5 years ago right now. That's insane. And I started using back then only in virtual machines, mind you. About a year or two later, I was like, okay, I know how to use it now, so I'm going to install it. Now, you do not have to learn for this long. You could go for the installation right away, but that's like basically going to shoot yourself in the foot. So first practice, then use it. It's better to measure twice and then do the dice, because it's not really a good thing to just jump in like that. You will face problems, and if that problem ends up not being fixable, what you'll end up with is a piece of technology that doesn't really work. So one thing I would definitely recommend for new users is just try and install Linux in a virtual machine, install it pretty much almost all the time in different ones, keep installing it, and try using the manual as little as you can. There are manuals and guides on how to install it, and as soon as you think or feel comfortable that you can just do it like by hand without knowing what you're doing, you could go ahead and install it fully without any guides and just install it on bare metal like on your computer. Just bear in mind that Linux works a lot differently than Windows. This is just getting set up with your basic installation. This is a minimal one. I have a series on my channel where I teach people how some commands under Linux work, which didn't get that much traction, so I'm still hoping that a lot more people will be able to find that and be able to learn something from that, because I go into fairly deep details about stuff, how each command works and what it does, and I show practical examples. And it was all just from the terminal, which is something insane. We're still installing, which is okay, because I really want to talk through this, explain a ton of things. One of the major ways that you install applications, if you haven't watched the final episode of the Linux for Noobs guide series, or what you want to call it, which was I believe episode 9, I showed you how to install applications. Now there are multiple ways of installing them. On Ubuntu there's one more, but it's not perfect, it's just bloated, which are the before mentioned snaps. I wouldn't really recommend that you go and install snaps, it's not ideal. So we're still installing. And this is just the base system. Now bear in mind I'm installing it onto my hard drive, so it takes a little while to get installed, so just be patient. So another thing, since this is a minimal installation, we're going to have to install everything ourselves. However, since this is around the minimal installation, we're not going to use a tool which is going to appear soon. The tool is called Task Cell, and what it does, it gives you a menu from which you can select the software you want to install. Now I'm going to pick only a few things from there, and I'll explain my reasoning for that. You also see why. I'm sorry. I feel a bit tired. So we're still installing. That's cool. You're just going to have to sit through this until it's done. So again, if you have a faster computer, it's going to take far less time, but again, we're doing this in a virtual machine, and if you gave it the same amount of RAM, the same CPU, cores and stuff, it either will take longer or a shorter amount of time, depending on how fast your computer is on which you have the virtual machine running, or if you have some applications running in the background. For example, I'm running OBS in the background to be able to record this process. So we're still installing. Yeah, but this is like one of the longer parts. We should soon be able to see some differences and stuff. So just don't worry, it's going to be okay. And another thing is, if you are going to use Debian and stuff, I would recommend that you look up guides on how to install applications. So the way you would look those up, it's still installing, so I can show you this. Let me go to DuckDuckGo. I do not want to use Google because it's bloated and stuff. So what you want to do is you want to basically type in Debian, then 10, because you're installing Debian 10. And now what we want to do is we want to type in, I don't know, let's say we want to install a Office application. So I guess you can either type in install apps, like so, or one of the better ones is if you know the thing you want. So let's say you want to install the Office apps, you type in Office, and what it will show you is the first one, in fact, which is how to install Libreoffice. And the Debian wiki is actually a really cool place. It shows you methods on how to install it, and all you have to do is just either copy this, or you can install it using this. Now, you do not have to use this. I wouldn't even recommend this, because it uses something that we do not have. I'm going to show you the methods of installing certain applications, because it's not that easy, and in some cases you would have to be forced to build them. But this is a truly minimal installation, so we're not gonna do that. We're still installing. For some reason my tab key doesn't work again. That's cool. We're still installing. It takes a little while, so just be patient. In the meantime, to show you guys what I meant, so we can go into my channel, and what you will see is on the videos, if you go down a bit, you'll see this series of videos starting with Linux for noobs. And this is basically installing Linux and all the programs, then directories and stuff. I would highly recommend that you watch this first, like in its entirety, the Linux for Noobs series, because it has all the basic information that might help you in terms of installing applications and getting information and stuff, because it really helps out if you know your way around the Linux terminal, which is what we'll be using from the beginning. But again, I'm going to show how to install the apps once more here, so that we don't run into any problems. Okay, so we're still installing. Again, there will be a timestamp in the description. There will be timestamps for each and every part throughout this installation, so you do not have to wait for me and explaining stuff. Just, I thought I would let you know. Yeah, my tab key doesn't work at all. Yeah, my tab key doesn't work. I'm hitting the switch itself and it's not working. That's fine. Oh, now it is set to work. Cool. Oh, now it's working. But as soon as I get to VirtualBox, it's not working. That's fun. So it's now unpacking the base system. So just wait for that to finish. I'm not speeding any of this up because I want you guys to see how long it actually takes to install. Most of this is just waiting for stuff to finish, honestly. So just, again, you have to be patient. If you do not have the patience, again, you can watch a YouTube video, a different one if you want, or you can skip to a set timestamp if you want to just see specific parts when setting up a basic installation. One important thing is, if you are looking for really low RAM usage, just go for a minimal install right away and just install the things that you just need, which is what I'll be doing. I'll be showing you how to set up a basic system that you can use for work essentially. If you work in an office, then all you need is Office applications and a basic web browser. You can get this up and running in about a few minutes. Now, installing Debian and then installing all the apps, it takes a little while. There are also places where you need a specific email client and stuff, so I'm going to show you how to install that as well. So you can get a basic office work PC setup done, and will be lightweight on your system and it won't use as many resources, which is what you're after. And you will have a graphical environment that will be somewhat similar to Windows. One of the major things that might be confusing to new users is the sheer scale of how many distributions we have. One thing I would recommend everyone starting on Linux is just pick either Ubuntu or Debian, one of these two, and start there. If you want to start completely fresh, you don't understand anything about computers, just go and pick Ubuntu, download it, test it out in a virtual machine, see if it's for you, install it in the virtual machine itself, and just see what you can do with it, play around with it, and if you like it, heck, you can learn more about it. Linux is just ideal for those people who just want to keep their brains active, you know. If you are a thinker, a guy who just likes to think, like, who knows, if you basically like to think a lot and like to wrap your head around certain topics and things, just go and install Linux and try to do that. I recently tried installing Gentoo. I didn't get it installed, but I learned so much about Gentoo during the process of installing it. It's insane. Same goes for Void Linux, which is another distribution. It's actually much easier to install, heck, if not easier to install than Linux Mint, which is another distribution. There are a ton of distributions you can use. But again, it really depends on what your taste is, what your preferences are. If you're looking for something that's more like Windows, you're going to have to look in places like Linux Mint or Zorin OS or Ubuntu, because that's really similar to Windows and it's Ubuntu based. If you're looking for something lightweight and pretty much ready to go where you only have to install it, just go for Ubuntu. It doesn't take that much space and it's a lightweight distribution. Now, I'm going for a truly minimal install, so bear with me. I'm not going to speed this up at all because I don't think it's required to do. Okay, this is where I think it's going to ask us a few things. At least that's what I think. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's going to. It's actually after it's done installing this that it's going to ask us. Again, we're going to go for a really minimalistic installation, so as little RAM as possible. It should go a little bit faster, at least I hope, because I really want to waste too much time. I mean, you could use this as it is and try learning things in here, but again, we're just going to do the minimal installation, so just bear with me. This thing, it just takes like really long. If you have a much faster internet connection and a really fast computer, it like really takes like, I don't know, less than 20 minutes to get up and running, if not even 5 to have a really fast internet connection and a fast computer. It can be done in like 5 or 10 minutes, if not less. If you know what you're doing. If you're new to this, it will take quite a while. Now again, I'm explaining things as I go because it's really important that you know these things. Because if anything happens and you need to install Linux again, it's much easier to remember these things and just go from memory than having to look it all up and potentially wasting a ton of time just trying to get your computer up and running. Most Linux users quit using Linux because their box is broken, which is kind of a shame because we had a ton of potential people, or I even knew people which had the potential to use Linux as their main operating system, as a Linux power user even, and they just gave up because it broke on them and they just installed Windows and kept using Windows from that point on. I'm not trash talking on Windows. I'm just saying my opinion. I'm not saying that it's a bad operating system. It could be better, honestly. It's just built with software that pretty much no one needs. You get bloat installed pretty much out of the box. You get, I don't know, Candy Crush Saga, like who plays that on a computer? Now, if you are someone who legit plays that, like okay, if that's your jam, good for you. But come on, Candy Crush Saga, or the apps that can be installed that no one really uses? Especially if you're a Windows power user or a Windows veteran, you're most likely not going to care about any of those apps. You're just going to keep using Windows, which isn't a bad thing, but I genuinely think that Linux users are becoming better computer users if they use Linux, because Linux just gets out of your way. It's a operating system that lets you get things done, you know. It's, if you know Linux, you're pretty much that IT guy to go to. Like, you're the one who knows the stuff, you're the one who uses it, you're the one who can teach people how to use it, which is a really powerful thing, and you don't realize it until you start doing it, which is what my channel is about. I'm mainly teaching people how to use alternative software or alternative operating systems to get fixed or used on their system. One thing to remember when it comes to installing applications, which I'm going to go over hopefully real soon as soon as this finishes, is that it requires administrative privileges. A way you can put a command into administrative privileges is with using sudo, which is like super user do, but shortened into sudo, which you have seen me use a couple times on this channel just to get some system configurations done and stuff. It's basically like the administrator under Windows, and you get to change system properties and stuff. You just need to preface. You just have to add at the beginning of every command the sudo part, then do space and then type in the command you want to do. It's really easy to use, and you can even chain multiple packages to achieve really powerful things. Now, this might be a bit complicated, but I'm not gonna go into any detail, but basically you can chain different commands into one really long string of commands to do a really specific thing, or just use one command and use them separately to achieve the same thing. Maybe it will take longer, but you know. Oh, seems like we're finishing up. Again, it just takes a little while to install everything. This is an entire operating system after all, so you just need to be patient. Again, if you're already done with this, congrats, you're just waiting for me to get my ass over. But you know, that's alright. Now this is on setting up like a truly minimal installation. So we're going to install a graphical user interface, and we're going to also install some software that you will most likely need to use, like a web browser and a Office application, and yeah. And obviously the GUI so you can see things. No, since this is a... Whoa, okay, so this thing, it's kind of broken. We're not going to scan it. We're just going to click no. And, okay, let me just go back. So it says that you can use the CD. We're going to use a mirror now, so we're going to click the continue with a mirror. So it asks us if we want to continue without a network mirror. We're going to pick no, so pick no, and then pick the one that's for your country. Now I'm in the Czech Republic, so I'm going to pick Czechia, and I'm going to pick the Debian, the dev.debian.org. We do not have a proxy, so just enter it out and wait. It's retrieving packages, so that's good. One important thing, if you look down here, you can see we do have network activity. Also, it is a bit broken, but it's because we do not have a ton of memory left to spare and stuff, but that's okay. And I'm going to show that you can in fact run Linux with even less RAM, because I managed to set up an entire server which runs with just 1 gig of RAM, and it works. Alright, so it's going to do the upgrading of software, so just wait until it gets finished. Again, if you get garbled up text like this, don't worry, you can see it happen to me as well. It's fine, you just have to trust me that it's okay. This is just the installation. Again, if we pick the graphical installation, it wouldn't have happened, but this is much faster to do and is actually capable of running on a really lower end system, which is what we are trying to make this installation for. We're trying to make it as minimal as possible in order to be able to use on a laptop with like 1 gig of RAM. Now it's going to ask us to support the package usage survey or the popularity contest. In fact, we're going to pick no because I do not need to do that. You could, but I'm going to pick no because I don't need that. It's going to install it anyway, just in case you want to change your mind. But again, it's like not being used at all, so don't worry. Okay, so this is the fun thing I mentioned before. So this is the task solve thing where you pick the things you want to install. Now we're going for a minimal installation. So untick, look at the star, the one to the left, not the one in the brackets. If you're doing this on a laptop, you will most likely have it in the brackets. Just uncheck or unstar the desktop, Debian desktop environment, and go down that. Now keep the print server if you need to print some things. I'm going to keep it on just to show you that it's easy to set up, and pick these standard system utilities. You could enable SSH for remote command execution, but or even a web server, but again, this is just a minimal installation and I'm not gonna be printing with these virtual machines. I'm going to untick that. But if you have a printer and don't wanna have to go through the hassle, just make sure you tick the print server. I'm gonna leave it unticked because I don't need that. I'm going to keep the standard system utilities. So continue, and it's going to get all the things that it needs, which is just around 106 packages, which is okay. So we're just going to wait. It really doesn't take that long to get all your packages installed. It's just that some packages are larger than others, and it may take a bit too long to get installed already with everything. Now, if you're following along with a Ubuntu installation, you most likely have it installed already with a bunch of stuff or not. I'm using Debian. It really depends on you. So, if you want to use Ubuntu, just make sure to pick the Ubuntu Mini ISO. It's like a really small image with like really just the basic things. And it's the one I used in my original tutorial series on how to use Linux, because Ubuntu is one of the most known distributions and one that is the most used one across the board. So we're currently installing the basic things it's going to install the basic utilities for our system, which it really needs because we want to get some packages that will enable us to use this as a full-fledged desktop operating system. So just wait it out a bit. This process shouldn't take that long. Again, if you have a faster connection and a faster computer, you will most likely have finished up already. Also, one thing to note, installing graphics drivers under Linux is not that simple. Now, if you have a AMD GPU, all you have to do is just update your kernel, which you can have a look at the internet, or you don't really have to do anything, basically. You just can like pop in your GPU and you're ready to go. However, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you have to install a proprietary driver. Or you don't even have to if you don't plan on gaming. If you don't plan on gaming, just use you don't have to do anything. It also has open source drivers, so you just plop it in and use it like that. However, if you have a really powerful GPU and want to get the most performance out of it, I would recommend that you install the proprietary drivers. Again, Ubuntu has discovered fairly easily. There is a utility inside of Ubuntu which takes care of it with just a few clicks. Whereas on Debian you have to install the drivers manually. But again, that's just one thing that's like a bit of a turn off for a few users. Again, it really depends on you. So we're going to wait for a little while longer than I anticipated. Again, it's not that simple to install everything. It mostly involves like waiting around for stuff to complete, so you could go and grab a cup of coffee or tea if that kind of thing and just wait it out, and then you can brag to your friend if you've installed Linux, and then you start using it, and then you absolutely love it. So yeah, we're still waiting until it gets installed. And this is just a basic system. Now you could, in fact, use this if your computer has like just a few hundred megs of RAM. But again, we just gave it 512 megs of RAM, so you might be thinking, okay, so there's pretty much no way that we can get a graphics environment right. We can, and we can in fact use it. My server uses only like no, that's a lie, hold on. Only 20% of its total RAM, which is like 1 gig. So you can do the math, I'm not gonna do that. But it's a really low amount with all the software and the shares between our NAS and stuff. It's really impressive that I was able to get it so low, to be honest. I was impressed myself how low you can push Linux to be run on anything. It's really surprising where it's just used. Okay, so it looks like we're going to finish up soon. At least I hope. This is pretty much a long process. We just are forced to wait around, looking at the bar slowly moving to the finish line, and being just one step closer than we would normally to having a fully fledged Linux system. So we're still in stop. So yeah, we're just waiting around for stuff to finish, so just bear with me. This is the full installation process actually. Again, it takes a while to get everything installed. This is just a basic installation. Again, installing other distros is either faster or slower depending on which one you choose. If you want to see me do a full-blown setup of how I get my Linux box ready for the work that I need to do, I don't mind doing that. It really would be a pleasure to do. So if you want to see that, let me know. I will happily do that. But again, we're just doing a minimal install today, and soon I will show you guys how you can get started with Linux and what you should know before getting into it and stuff, because those are things that will really make your life a lot easier. I'm just going to show a few things over here as well, so you guys know what to do. Finish up. I mean, it takes a little while to finish up anyways. Just wait it off a bit and it should be fine. Just make sure to stay safe. Oops, looks like we're finishing up. At least I hope. Let's see what happens. I seriously hope it's going to be okay. Okay, so now it's going to install grub, which is the bootloader that we use to show you your operating system at the beginning. Every single time you pretty much launch your computer, you pick the OS and it boots up into it. I'm going to explain what it does. So again, it's asking us to install the grub bootloader. Again, we want to pick yes because without it won't work. And once you pick yes, just pick the SDA partition because that's the one where our OS is. So pick the SDA one. If you're running this in VirtualBox, pick SDA. And it's running the installation of the grub bootloader. It shouldn't take that long. It's a small package that has everything we need in order to be ready to boot to our environment later. Because without it, we wouldn't be able to boot into it and we would be stuck. Which isn't a good thing to happen, honestly. So just keep that in mind. Again, this video is a bit longer, but this is just to show you how you guys can set up a minimal installation. Now for me, this is like regular, like normal stuff. I practice this from time to time just to keep myself up to date with stuff, to just know how to install certain distributions if needed. Okay, now it's setting up our user, which we defined before, which is good because without those users we wouldn't be able to even log into our machine. Alright, it's configuring the clock for us. Installation has been complete, so now we pick enter. It's going to unmount file systems and stuff, and it's rebooting. As you can see, one really neat thing that VirtualBox does it. Let me just move this up and down so we can get a reboot. So one really neat thing that it does, it unmounts the drive, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're on a desktop PC, you would most likely have to remove your USB drive or your CD-ROM if you're using that. But again, that's up to you. Since we're using a virtual machine in this, we do have to do this. It automatically unmounts it. So this is the thing that I told you about, the grub boot menu. This is the bootloader, which is being generated based on what operating systems you have. One important note, if you are dual booting, you will see a Windows thing here. I'm not sure it's called exactly, but it will be called Windows something. That's your Windows partition, that's your Windows operating system. Again, since we have just one operating system on here, which is Debian GNU Linux, we're going to pick the first one, because that's where our operating system is. So it's now booting up. Again, This might look scary, but don't worry, this is okay, this is totally normal. This is just the boot up process, and we're in pretty much. Let me just get rid of this, it's pretty annoying. So, what you see here is a basic login prompt. Now, remember our user that we created, type in test, and then our password, which was test. I recommend picking simple ones so you don't have any problems. Now, one thing to remember, so the thing that you see, the test at Debian, the double dots, and then the tilde, and then the $sign. So the $sign indicates that we are in our home directory, which has nothing in it so far. The Debian part indicates the host name, which we left, as you remember, up to Debian. So it says at Debian, so at and then the host name. And then you see the test, which is at the very beginning. This is our username. In fact, we can print out each and everything of our system. So I'm not gonna do that now because it gets a bit more confusing than that. But let me just clear the screen so we have a bit more looks. I did that just by tapping it clear. So one thing I like to install is some applications. So let me show you how you can install applications. So the way you install applications on Debian-based distributions, basically you go into Debian and the like. You type in sudo apt -get install and the name of the package. Now I'm going to install a few packages that you may find useful, and that is htop and neofetch. Oh no. So as you can see, we do not have sudo, which might happen. So the way you can fix this is by going su, which is our super user, and type in the password, which was test. And now type in apt-get install htop neofetch. And what it's going to do, it's going to spit out this crazy amount of things. You don't have to worry about all of this. You just have to press Y to install it. Press Y and then press enter, and it's going to download the packages and install them for you. So just wait it out a bit. Again, depending on your internet connection, it's going to be faster or slower. I'm going to just show you how you can get basic system information, like real-time information, from the terminal, which is what we are in right now. This text-based thing you see, that's what we call the terminal, the thing that a ton of people are scared about, or scared of actually. So it finished downloading, now it's going to install the packages. I'm sorry. And it's unpacking them. Again, depending on how quick your computer is, if you have an SSD or a hard drive, again, it depends on various factors. But you should be able to get this up and running on pretty much anything. So, yeah. So it's still loading, apparently. One really cool thing about this that you could do is we could add our user to the sudoers file. Now the sudoers file is essentially kind of like let's say a list of people that have elevated privileges. So far there is only root, so that's why we cannot use sudo. I don't think that it's installed, so we have to install it first. But it is installed, I think. It just doesn't work. I'm going to show how we can fix it, because we're going to do this in real time. Again, we're just installing a few packages. It may or may not take a really long time to get set up. So, just be patient. be back once this is done. Alright, I'm back. I just had a phone call. Nothing special really, so this was the only time I had to pause. So we're just installing everything, which is what we really need to get everything installed. We're just waiting still, so just be patient. As you can see, it's still writing to the desk. A way you can tell is by looking at the bottom right corner of the window where the virtual machine is. There is a hard drive icon with an indicator light that switches between red and green, indicating that it's either reading or writing, so just be patient. It's all about waiting. As you can see, it's blinking, so hopefully it's going to finish up soon. Because if this takes that long, I can't really imagine how long it would take for us to install all the software. Okay, it's processing the ManDB and we're done. So now we run a neo fetch. You'll be able to see how much RAM we're using from our system. So far we have just a minimal amount of packages, which you can see by the packages amount right there. And it is around 400 packages, and we have our shell, which is bash, and our terminal, and then we have some information, and then we have our memory, and we're using just 66 megs of RAM. Another way you can check is by using htop, which we've just installed, and you can see a bit more information here, which is really nice to see. So this is a bit more of a user-friendly representation, which is okay. Okay, so let me just clear this out. So I want to fix the sudo thing, because sudo apparently isn't installed, so I need to just do apt install sudo. It just wasn't installed. Okay, so if you get the error that sudo is not present, just type in su to enter the super user account, type in the password, and just install sudo using apt install sudo, or sudo, how you pronounce it, and you should be pretty much ready to go afterwards, so we do not have to use this user anymore. So to exit as the root user, we can just do exit, and now we are back as our test user, so we can do sudo apt update, and as you can see it's working, so we type in test. And one other thing you may come across is this sudoers file thing. So we can fix this quite easily. Just type in sudo nano and then do etc. I think it was sudoers right here. Yeah. Type in the password, which is oh yeah, I forgot. So it will be su again. Test, and then we do nano etc sudoers. And what you want to do, you want to scroll down till this section right here, which says user privilege specification, and under the root part you want to type in your username, which in my case is test. Press tab and rewrite the thing that's above it, so which will be all equals brackets all, the double dots thing, then all, then space, and then all. Control S to save, Control X to exit, and we can now exit the root user, and we can do sudo apt update, type in the name. As you can see, this sudo command is working as it should. So this is one thing that may happen. I just showed you how to fix it. It's a very simple fix. So now that we've fixed our sudo and got the package installed, we're ready to install the other packages. Again, we can run neofetch to check the amount of packages we have, which as you can see, oh, also the amount of memory, which is nice. Yes, we have around 360 packages. That's fine. That's still considered minimal. If you don't go over 500, which is still a bit too much, you're pretty much fine. So now we have a terminal set up. We have the basic system installed. We already have a few applications. We already fixed a few issues with it, and now the only thing left is to install a graphical user interface. So the way you can install a graphical user interface, there are multiple options. One, if you're going for a truly minimal and lightweight install, you can use OpenBox. However, I'm going to go for a more user-friendly variant, which is called Lxde. So you do sudo apt install Lxde. You press enter, it spits out this bunch of stuff, and it will eat up what is it, 1.4 gigs of space, which is okay. We're going to click yes, and this will take a long time to download, so I'm going to be back once this is finished. Alright, so I figured since we're approaching the 90% mark, I should get back to recording this. So, yeah, it will just take a few seconds to download the rest. Again, this is highly dependent on your internet connection. So again, if you have a faster internet connection than I do, you will be most likely done in a few minutes with this. We're approaching the 1 hour mark throughout our entire installation, just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, spending like an hour to get it installed, it isn't ideal now, is it? And that's just the base install. Now even Windows doesn't take that long, but there are some advantages to using Linux, which I may get into later. Alright, so it says 100% and we are finishing it up. So it took like 7 minutes. It also shows you how long it took, so around 7 minutes to download everything with my connection, which is like a 1 megabyte a second almost, like 900 kilobytes a second, which you can do the math on and you'll be able to guess how long it would take on your internet connection. So we're now installing everything, so again, depending on your speed of your hard drive or your SSD, it will either take longer or a shorter period of time. So just be patient and you should be fine. I'm going to wait this through with you, however, because I don't want to leave you guys on a leaving note, because that would kind of suck, to be honest. Okay. Okay, so we're at around 2%. Again, this like takes a little while to install everything. It also depends on a bunch of things, so just be patient. So yeah, this is just installing the GUI. The GUI is like one of the largest packages you're going to install like overall on your system, but everything else is like either a smaller package or just like really tiny. So again, like it also depends on which you choose. I chose Lxde because it's the most lightweight one, and it looks more like Windows, and it doesn't need that much resources. Like it doesn't eat almost any of those. It's like just only a few megs extra, and you get to use a full-fledged operating system with the GUI. And we do not have a web browser installed, so I'm going to install that next. And yada yada yada. Now, one thing I did not mention, even though we use this, I think we should install a display manager. What the display manager is essentially the thing that you see when you start up your Linux box, and it's the logging screen essentially. The graphical one, not the text-based one we've seen at the beginning as soon as this box has booted. I'm going to show how to install that so we have a full-fledged graphical user interface so that pretty much everyone could use it. Now, since this is Linux, we get to do a bunch of stuff that on Windows will never let you do. You can change a bunch of things, you can tweak everything to your heart's content, which is what I really like about Linux. So yeah, we're just waiting for everything to install, and it's being installed onto my poor hard drive, so I'm going to most likely stop this and come back as soon as it's done, because it really takes a long time to install all the packages. So again, just be patient, and as soon as it finishes, I'll come back to you guys. Alright, so we're back. We've installed our desktop environment. It took a bit longer than I wanted it to, so I'm gonna get this done quick. So next we're going to install, what was it? Light dm-jdk-greeter, I think. Test. It's installed. Okay, let's do sudo reboot. Okay, seems to be working. The reason why we're rebooting is that we've installed a desktop environment and we want it to be... Oh. And we want it to be applicable to... Am I even recording properly? Yeah, we are recording properly, good. I was really sure by myself. Okay, good. Seems like we're booting up, just like we should. Oh. I think that's the greeter that's going to show up. Yep, that's the greeter. Okay, good. So now we just do test, and we should be good to go. It should boot us directly into our desktop environment. And yes, please. And there we go. That's our 45 desktop environment. So we have all the tools that we need and stuff. Let's open up the terminal and have a look. So let me open up HTOP to show how much RAM we're using. And it's just shy over 206 megs of RAM, which is really low considering how much RAM we gave it. So now all that's left to do is install a web browser. So sudo apt install. Is there a web browser already? I figured I just might try launching one and see what happens. It seems to be doing something. I guess we do have a web browser after all. We have Firefox, okay. So we do not have to install one. However, I know that a fair amount of you don't want to use Firefox because Firefox is stupidly bloated and stuff. You can, in fact, fix this quite easily. Let me just close this and hopefully not crash my virtual machine. Oh. Of course you're going to ask me twice. Close tabs. Close. Just quit. Okay, good. So we're going to install... I mean, this could work. Oh. Never mind. Okay, okay, we're working now. So Chromium, I think it was dash browser. If you want to install the Chromium browser, you could install a app store. If it, oh, okay, I guess it's just Chromium. Yeah, it's just Chromium, so we just install Chromium. It's actually a smart package, so let's get that real quick. So yeah, that's Chromium by itself. I actually have to leave soon, so we're going to install Chromium real quick. It doesn't take us long. The longest part that it took was to install the flippin' desktop environment, but that's how you install Chromium. So you do sudo apt install Chromium. There is also a app store that you can install. I'm not really sure what it's called right now, but there are a bunch of app stores you can install to make the installation process much easier, so you do not have to use the terminal for everything. Yeah, I'm going to close this and do sudo apt clean. This will clear it out. Let's see how much space we have left. We have about 4.7 gigs available, so that's good. So what do we do now? So now we go ahead and install a flippin' app store, because I don't think we do have one. It doesn't seem to be that way, so we have just the basic applications here, which for some people is more than sufficient. But I want to install a app store now. I think it was sudo apt install what was it? Software. Was it Ubuntu Software Center or Mate? Again, we can just look it up online if we are not sure ourselves. So let's just have a look online. So I don't know, Debian software store, and we can just have a look which one we want to install. So just software-center apparently. So let's do that. So install software-center test. I think it was, I don't know, let's try the GNOME-software center. It doesn't exist that way. Okay. I might have to look this up actually. So yeah, there are different things you can install. Oh, okay, that's not what I wanted. That wasn't... Oh, okay. You could like install Software Center. You'll just have to have a look online what it's called. As you can see, it doesn't have that. But we can copy this and just have a look at the packages themselves and have a look if there is anything, just by searching it like that. Search. And there is none, so we cannot even install Software Center. But a method you could install software with is, if we go back, you would just look online on what the package is called. So for example, like how to install Chromium, or how to install Chrome, how to install Libreoffice and stuff like that. Actually, to install Libreoffice, all you have to do is do sudo apt install and Libreoffice, and it will ask you to download a bunch of stuff. I don't have the time to do that, so you can do it yourself. And that's pretty much it. Networking can be handled using nm2. I don't have nm2 installed because I don't have a network manager installed. Let's install that. So sudo apt install network dash manager, or is it just, I cannot type manager, there we go. And we just click yes to install our network manager, because that's what we're going to use in order to get all our networking stuff done, because without it we will be kind of screwed, and it's a much simpler package, so you should have installed that first. Once this is installed, I recommend that you reboot, or you don't even have to, you can use different tools to do that. Just look up how to get software installed on the Debian, look for a specific app that you want to have installed. You can, I think, install Steam using the terminal. We could try that. There's a bunch of applications. If you know what you're looking for, you'll most likely find it. Just type in how to install blah 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 on Debian, or how to install blah 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 on Ubuntu, and you should be fine. If you have a wireless networking card, it's a bit of a hassle to get it working. However, if your computer isn't flipping retarded, you should be fairly easy to get it up and running. So yeah, I'm going to wait until this finishes installing. I actually think I'm going to end it up on this note. Once it finishes installing, you can do all the things you want. You can install other applications, and this is our basic environment, and it doesn't even need that much memory, which is really amazing. Now my desktop PC isn't a good example of this, because I am using a ton of applications all the time. I'm switching back and forth. I'm doing a ton of stuff that I should and shouldn't be doing, and it's not that easy. I think this should work. Okay, so NM2 now works. This is a network manager terminal UI, which you can use to manage all your networks. You can even set the host name to something else. You can even edit a connection if you want. Since we do not have anything to edit here, that's that. If you want to know what your network card is, just type in IP ADDR and it should list it out, along with your IP address and stuff. Also, don't bother connecting to this, because it isn't a real IP address. Just saying. Like, it is a real one, but this virtual machine won't be live after this. This is just for showing you how to get a minimal installation. In fact, if we pull up HTOP after installing all of that, some of this was actually swapped into our swap and is using only 160 megs of RAM, which is really amazing considering all the stuff we're running. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you wanna see another installation video on, for example, how to install Ubuntu or a different distribution, just let me know. I'll try and figure out a way of installing it and tell you something more about it. If you want to learn more about Linux, make sure to check out my Linux for Noobs series. It talks about the various commands that you can use, methods of installation. It was back in the day when I was using Windows 7 on my main workstation. Now I'm using Linux. I'm using it full-time. I was using it full-time on my laptop, but my laptop recently I swapped it out for a few things, so I have a bit more things to play around with, like a Raspberry Pi and such, so there will be more Linux content coming soon. Also, I have a Patreon, so if you have a bit of money to spare, even though these are really hard times and money is sparse, it wouldn't really hurt if you were able to find at least like $8 or something. It really depends on you if you want to spend a bit or not. I'm not forcing you. But still, make sure you stay safe. Also, make sure to wash your hands thoroughly, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.